The Final Fantasy franchise is a series that, for most JRPG fans, needs no introduction. Since the series' inception in 1987, the games have seen numerous gameplay changes and additions over the years, such as the gradual shift from traditional turn-based combat to active time-based battle, or ATB, to real-time, and eventually arriving at the current mix of real-time and ATB. A significant addition in Final Fantasy III that has become a series staple since its introduction is the existence of summons. These are powerful creatures and otherworldly beings that have gone by several different names in different games, such as Guardian Forces, Eons, Espers, or Primals. Regardless of name, the purpose of these beings remains the same: to aid the player in battle. While there are some summons that are endemic to the world of Final Fantasy, like the Chocobo, the majority come from a vast array of real-world mythologies. So, without further ado, let's dive into the mythological origins of Final Fantasy summons. Firstly, we have the Ice Empress, Shiva. Introduced in Final Fantasy III, this now iconic summon is one of only a few to appear in every mainline game. In Hinduism, Shiva is the god of destruction and is actually portrayed as male, unlike in the games. The most notable similarity is the blue skin, which in Hinduism Shiva got by drinking poison to save the world. Next is Ramu. This third-level summon gets his name and appearance from Ramu of Mesopotamian mythology, which is portrayed as a robed and bearded old man. Ramu is also sometimes known as Indra, who in Hinduism is the god of rain, lightning, and storms, which is a pretty obvious inspiration for Ramu's lightning magic and signature move of Judgment Bolt. Ifrit is a powerful fire elemental known for his signature Hellfire attack. He is shown as a horned and demonic-looking creature, although his design has changed somewhat from his first introduction. In the Quran and other pre-Islamic Arabian folklore, the Ifrit is a type of jinn or genie said to have fire running through their veins. This inspiration can also be seen in more recent Ifrit designs, which have a fiery glow radiating from within its body. Titan is a gigantic humanoid associated with the element of Earth, and comes from Greek mythology, where Titans are the precursors to the gods of Olympus. They are born from the primordial deity of the Earth, Gaia, and the reference to this is apparent in their signature move, Gaia's Wrath. Odin has one of the more obvious origins, given that he is almost one-to-one with his mythological counterpart. In Norse mythology, Odin is the ruler of Valhalla and father of Thor, and is often portrayed with his divine steed Sleipnir. Although in the mythology, the horse is described as having 8 legs and is also birthed by Loki, but let's not get into that. In the Eddas, Odin also wields the spear Gungnir, whereas in Final Fantasy he is usually seen with a shield and curved sword, although later entries give him the spear as well. As ruler of Valhalla, Odin is heavily associated with death and the afterlife, which is reflected in his ability to inflict instant death in the games, KOing enemies regardless of HP. One of the oldest recurring monsters, Leviathan was first seen in Final Fantasy II as the giant sea serpent that swallows the player's party, before becoming a summon in 3. In the Hebrew Bible, Leviathan is a large and violent sea creature, and other texts in Judaism more specifically describe it as a sea serpent, sometimes with multiple heads, but not usually. Design-wise, Leviathan also takes after Shintoism's ubiquitous sea serpent, the god Ryujin, and its signature tsunami attack is something more strongly associated with Japan than the Levant. The last summon from Final Fantasy III is Bahamut, the Dragon King who dates back all the way to the very first Final Fantasy game. Bahamut originates from the pre-Islamic mythology of Arabia. However, most Arabic sources refer to Bahamut as a giant fish or a whale. Although there are some that refer to Bahamut as a dragon, these are by far the minority. The popularization of Bahamut as a dragon is owed to Dungeons & Dragons, where he's a good-aligned platinum dragon and dragon king. Moving on to Final Fantasy IV, we largely see the return of the same summons as 3, with the addition of a few more nondescript fantasy creatures, such as goblins and dragons, which I don't really think need any explanation. Final Fantasy V saw the addition of a few unique, if somewhat simple, fantasy creatures that I'll go over briefly. The Carbuncle, a mythical creature reportedly sighted in the Americas by Spanish conquistadors. It's described as a small creature, either a bird or mammal, that has a gem in its forehead crystallized from the brain of a dead dragon. Catopelpas, a creature from Ethiopian mythology with the body of a buffalo and the head of a boar that can turn people to stone with its breath. In Final Fantasy VI, we have the addition of Cait Sith, a creature from Celtic mythology said to resemble a large black cat, around the size of a dog with a white spot on its breast. In this folklore, the spectral cat haunts the Scottish Highlands and will steal a person's soul after burial if given the chance. In the game, Cait Sith walks upright and wears boots, likely in reference to the Italian fairy tale Puss in Boots. We also have Fenrir, a red-eyed grey wolf who originates from Norse mythology, also another child of Loki, who will destroy the earth, moon, and sun during Ragnarok. Kirin is a mythical hoofed and horned Chinese creature, much like a chimera. It's said to appear with the imminent arrival or passing of a wise sage, or an illustrious ruler. Lakshmi is a humanoid female, also introduced in 6, who specializes in healing magic. This summon is also based on the Hindu goddess of fertility, Lakshmi, who is similar to Aphrodite or Venus. When the North American version of the game out, Lakshmi's sprite was censored from this to this, because I guess those pixels were just too sensual for our Western brains to handle. Kind of says more about how dirty the regulators' minds were, if you ask me. Another one is Midgardsormr, a giant serpent in possession of earth magic abilities. This creature also hails from Norse mythology and is also known as the World Serpent, or Jormungandr. And yes, Midgardsormr is yet another child of Loki. Included in the Game Boy Advance version is Gilgamesh, who's portrayed as a knight in orange armor who wields a variety of different weapons. This summon is from the Akkadian Epic of Gilgamesh, the oldest surviving literary text, in which the titular character is a demigod who rules over the Mesopotamian city of Uruk. In the game, Gilgamesh wields the swords Excalibur and Masamune, which is a little strange, considering King Arthur and Masamune came about around a few thousand years after. The final mention for FX6 is Quetzali, a colorful bird whose name comes from the Aztec language, and while not mythical, is really cool looking, so I wanted to include it anyway. Since I thought it was funny that Square has a neat tropical bird at the same level as all these gods. Final Fantasy VII saw the introduction of a few new summons. The first is Hades, one of the most recognizable gods from Greek mythology, in which he is the god of the underworld, not to be confused with the god of death Thanatos. We also have the Kujata, a giant bull from the same mythology as Bahamut. In this canon, Kujata stands upon Bahamut's back and plays a role in holding up the world. Legend has it that the bull has 4,000 eyes, ears, mouth, and feet, but understandably this is not reflected in the game design. Lastly, for 7 we have Typhon, a monstrous entity also from Greek myth, the child of primordial Gaia and Tartarus. This fire-breathing beast is said to be trapped under Mount Etna in Sicily, causing the volcanic eruptions there. Final Fantasy VIII only sees the addition of one more summon, this being the Guardian Force Quetzalcoatl, a giant feathered serpent from Mesoamerican mythos. Final Fantasy IX is the first time we don't see any new summons added. Final Fantasy X sees the introduction of Valifor, a demonic entity based on Valafar from Christian demonology, the Duke of Hell who tempts humans to steal before sending them to the gallows. We also see Ixion, a horse-like creature who originates from Greek mythology, in which he was a king from Thessaly, although he was actually human, despite the fact that he did father the first centaurs. Final Fantasy XI adds Garuda, a large bird-like creature that appears in both Hinduism and Buddhism. From Final Fantasy XII, we have Belias, a demonic corn creature based on the demon of the same name from the Bible, as well as other Judeo-Christian apocrypha, also known as Belial or the Father of Lies. Also from Judeo-Christian tradition is Andromelech, a demon who originated as a god from Assyrian myth before being incorporated into the former's mythos. Continuing the theme is Shemhazai, based on a fallen angel from Christian tradition, as well as Hashmal, leader of the Second Order of Angels, the Hashmalim, also known as the Dominions. The last summon is Cuchulainn, a giant monster based on a spear-wielding hero from Irish mythology. The monstrous design most likely comes from an aspect of the myth where sometimes in battle, Cuchulainn will enter a berserker state called a warp spasm, where he essentially hulks out on his enemies. In Final Fantasy XIII, we have the arrival of two new Eidolons. The first is Hecatoncheir, a many-armed giant based on the Hecatoncheirs from Greek myth, which are the 100-armed children of Gaia and the primordial deity of the sky, Oranos. The other is Brynhildr from Norse mythology, in which she is a Valkyrie in service to Odin. And that does it for the mainline games. For Final Fantasy XVI, we'll likely see the return of some of the classic summons, but we've yet to see if any new ones appear. So, what's your favorite summon? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.